Okay, as you get set to embark on your second preseason as head coach, what's your comfort level like this year compared to what it was like a year ago?
Yeah, I think just heading into fall camp and coming out of an off season where we have the ability to have a consistent staff and have a consistent summer with our staff. I think our guys and our entire program feels a little more comfortable this season, and we're fortunate to be able to have as many returning players as we do, and certainly having a returning quarterback this year and not having a quarterback battle in my first year as head coach is quite a bit more comforting.
How did the offseason go for your club? You have a large group of your players stay in Duluth. That's been kind of a tradition.
Yeah, we had about 95% of our guys stay in Duluth, and those guys, some of those guys took summer school, some of those guys, a lot of those guys got jobs, and they all worked out all summer, so we feel good about our guys' athletic conditioning and training coming out of the summer, where they're at physically, and fall camp will be more of a mental game for us, making sure that those guys are mentally ahead of the game and prepared for Concordia St. Paul on the 6th.
Looking ahead, what excites you about this year's team?
Well, I think this year we have a challenge ahead of us with a smaller senior class, and finding out who our leaders are going to be, who's going to take hold of this football team and this football program for the 2014 season is always a challenge. And when you graduate your next class, you're always anticipating the new class coming in. So we're bringing in a large freshman class this year, and I think an extremely talented one. So that's another thing that I think excites our whole staff about the future of this program, and seeing these guys check in for the first time this Saturday morning.
And then what concerns you?
I think our depth will always be an issue, and I think that's part of Division II football is you can't ever be deep enough. And I think if you look at one concern heading into fall camp, we got to make sure that we stay healthy and stay healthy throughout the season, and again find those guys throughout fall camp who are going to be our depth guys and going to be the guys that we can rely on Saturday afternoons.
And looking at depth, what are your strong suits, and where are those areas where you're a little thin?
Yeah, I don't think we're deep enough anywhere, to be honest. If we picked one position, I would say our linebacking crew returns a lot of guys that have quite a bit of playing time, and we feel good about our depth at that spot. We have a lot of quality returners and a few starters coming back at that position. So if we had to pick one, I would say linebacker is maybe as deep as we've been since I've been here.
Okay, and then our place in defense, I know you lost a good chunk of your secondary. Another area of concern?
Yeah, I think our secondary has the ability this year to be as talented as we've ever been. You look at a guy like Dave Bogle and Hunter Malberg, a guy like Durian Fletcher. Those guys may not have a lot of starts underneath their belt, but they've played a considerable amount of football. And a guy like Hunter Malberg has a year where he comes in and he doesn't redshirt for us. He ends up with 2 interceptions against Northwest Missouri, so he certainly goes into this season and headed into this offseason a lot more confident player. And guys like him that are sophomores and juniors will lead our secondary this fall.
How about an offense, areas where you are certainly a little bit stronger?
Well, I think our quarterback position. Looking at last year, we had 5 guys really battling for the spot. This year, Drew Bauer will take the reins as our starting quarterback coming into fall camp, and you look at a guy like Eric Klein, who again has played a lot for us and coming off an injury-plagued end of the year for us last year. He's had a good offseason, so we're relatively deep at the quarterback position. Again, 1 or 2 injuries on any team that has potential to devastate you, but in the same sense, we feel good that we have 2 quarterbacks with a lot of experience, and a guy like Justin Lowry, who returns for his 3rd season with us, had a tremendous spring, and he'll battle for time as well.
How about in the wideout position? You look pretty strong as well.
Yeah, we have 3 guys there that return with a lot of experience, and Aaron Roth is one of our senior captains, Zach Zweifel and Justin Fulks, Bo Bofferding, who's going to play a little bit of both, and both got quite a bit of playing time for us last year. So we really have 4 guys there that are strong, that have played a lot of football for us and can provide some leadership. But in the same sense, as much as we use those smaller wide receivers as slots and running backs, that's something that we continue to try to build our depth at that position as well.
It all starts with the offensive line. How does that stack up this year?
Well, again, I think our offensive line, we lost Grant Snowbrick and we lost Tom Olson. Those guys have been staples in our offensive line for a long time. And including Andrew Paddock, who graduated early and is going on to medical school. So losing those guys is certainly some big shoes to fill on the offensive line. You look at Connor Randall, who played quite a bit for us last year, Peter Bateman, who started at left tackle, Andrew Meir, who returns with a lot of preseason accolades. So we have 3 guys who return with a lot of experience, and we have a really good sophomore class. Guys like Matt Canton, it's those guys' time to play for us, and Cameron Heen and that group. Those guys need to step up and have a good fall camp for us. And a guy like Phil Rutz, who's played quite a bit for us, played a lot last year for us at a couple different positions. It's time for Phil to take hold of our offensive line as a senior.
And then finally, the league coaches picked the Bulldogs to be the team to beat in 2014. Do you agree with that?
Well, we certainly aim to be there at the end of the season. I think a lot of preseason polls either end up with last year's accolades or last season's record and how we finished. And if you look at last year, we certainly didn't finish the last game how we wanted to, but we did have a good fall. And I think we've had a tremendous offseason. I think maybe just the consistency with our staff and our program over the last 6 or 7 years has certainly attributed to some preseason recognition, but in the same sense, that will all change and come unraveled for our entire league come September 6th.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.